When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex. So let's get to it. And you thought I'd never return, but I did. Something like Cuddy walking through that staircase out your old lady's apartment. Hey, I was just dropping off something to Juanita. And I want to drop off this episode to you guys because it is one of the biggest fight weeks in the history of boxing. All right. Um, Little bit of history personal there for me. I was at the first Taylor-Serrano, me and the Queen of Essex. Didn't make it out to Dallas for the second one. But yeah, I'm in the building for the third one, and rightfully so, because there's a lot of things that I spy, things that I saw. I got some previews and predictions, not just about what's gonna happen the night of the fight. Um, I got some prediction about what's going to happen postscript, what's going to happen after all is said and done because of the magnitude of this event. Remember. So let's start. I'm gonna be in the building for those that you want to come and shake my hand, you want to throw some money at my feet, whatever. Seriously, yo, give me some dap, show me some love. Um, Especially all my female fighters. You know what I'm saying? Identify yourselves and we can network, right? Nonetheless, I got a concern about the run order. Got a concerned about which bouts are going to be the opening bouts versus, um, because boxing events, as you guys know that attend, especially those that are televised, it's pretty tricky. There's sometimes a delay. They may or might not let you in or out the building. So you gotta plan accordingly. Now, here's my problem. You mean to tell me you got the bantamweight undisputed title bout, the battle of the ponytails that you guys know I've been calling it that from episodes back between Sugar Neeks and Chicken Metcalf. Shout out to Chicken. I've been a Chicken fan for a long time, man. So, and Sugar Neeks as well. And these two ladies are meeting for the undisputed bantamweight title, and you're gonna put that co-main event before this? I'll get to that in a minute. Suffice to say, they're doing that to lure in, the casual audience because this is going to be an amazing bout. Before we get to that, Tam Bolt versus Mary Casamassa, 3-minute rounds for these ladies. It's going to be very interesting. I think Casamassa, um, she's going to give Thibault. It's not Thibault. Thibault, like Tim Tebow. She's going to give Tam a challenging time. It's going to be a rough bout. I'm kind of like, let's see who wins. I kind of could lean towards Tam because she's got the Olympic pedigree, and Mary just may end up making it a rough bout, but certainly, depending on what the judges see, could sway their eyes. So just watch that one. It's gonna be very entertaining. Yeah. Now, Ramla Ali versus Lila Furtado. Truthfully, this is like sink or swim for Ramla. What I mean is that she's got other things she could be doing. She's just a tough gal, mentally probably more so than physically, which is why I think if she does win, she gets a good win and go retire, go back to the Vogue spreads and the runways and do that thing. And I'm not diminishing, what you're trying to do. I'm just saying it's getting real thick over there. So if you do survive and you really do, have the physical and the mental veracity to continue. Remember, it's pretty crowded over there. What are you looking for? The winner of Scotney versus Mercado? Shit. It's possible, right? But I think you got to crawl before you walk in hell. You don't want to come down from 118 to excuse me, from 122 to 118. They got young Crystal Rosado waiting around. Hell, they just signed Ebony Bridges. So Ramla, I don't know what you're gonna do, but if you do win this fight, my advice is you win, retire, right off of the sunset. George Costanza, go out on a high note. But if you lose, certainly time to call it a day and a respectable career. It has been all right. Chantelle Cameron has been waiting. Now, here's where there's some trickeration. You guys know where what the opponent is and what's at stake. She's the interim Chantelle Cameron, the only woman to have defeated Katie Taylor twice. They robbed her for one of them just so they can continue this bullshit narrative. However, Cameron is in there and she's facing a former contender at 135 in Jessica Camara, a former common opponent with Caroline Dubois. Follow me for a second when I get to that main event. Chantelle Cameron's just buying herself some time, all right? Because what's going to happen is, I'll just get right to it. Guys, Katie Taylor weighed in at 135. Win or lose, she's going to vacate those belts, right? And either take a money bout right away with Caroline Dubois, or she's going to say, fuck it. I think I can run the table and get all my straps back at 135, starting with Terry Harper. Eddie will hook that up, find a way to finagle that, and then they will slowly end around, maybe draw in a Stephanie Hahn, but yeah, maybe I spilled the beans a little early. Because we know what's gonna happen in the main event. I love Amanda Serrano. I'd be fucking surprised if she won. But in my eyes, the eyes that were there for the first fight, Amanda Serrano beat Katie Taylor in the same way Chantelle Cameron beat Katie Taylor in their second fight. But I just think after the first bout, Taylor was going to have Serrano figured out, and this is why we keep getting what they're getting. It's like ever so close, but not close enough. I don't believe it's going to happen in our lifetime. So what does Serrano do? I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about that towards the end, but I'm telling y'all, dime to a donut, Katie Taylor, she's coming into a super lightweight bout weighing 135. She's on her way up out of there. Trust me. If y'all can't read the tea leaves, get your fucking eyes fixed. So let me go back down, all right? Because that's Chantelle Cameron. Hopefully, right? She'll fight for the vacant titles, or somebody want to step up else in the division. I got to take a look at the rankings because I'm raw dogging this one. I just had to bring this, on such an occasion. So, like I said, Metcalf and Johnson, Metcalf and Johnson. That bout should be a main event in of itself. But it's great we're having it on this card. So in a way, it is the main event for the preliminaries. Yeah, but this one should have made the main card. You definitely could have swapped this one out for Alycia Baumgardner. Like, let's be real. Okay. So because the aforementioned common opponent, like, really? I really would have rather see Camara stay at 135. Why? Is that okay? Did anybody ask that? No, because nobody knows shit about women's boxing like that, except the warden and a few other people. Why didn't Jessica Camara just stay at 135, fight Alycia Baumgardner, so that way, if Alycia Baumgardner is serious about doing anything other than looking quite elegant, fight Jessica Camara and say, yo, when I meet Caroline Dubois, I'm going to do her like I did this because I did Camara worse than you did. But no, you bring up the featherweight. Okay, whatever. So yeah, that could have been the main event on the prelims, but let us move on. And now, and don't take no betting advice from me. I don't like taking risks unless I can rig this shit. I ain't a betting kind of guy, so don't fucking hinge your fortunes on my words, all right? Hinge your enlightenment on my words. And I'm enlighten you to something. Savannah Marshall, all my wrestling brothers and sisters out there, she's coming to do the job. She's coming to do like Goldberg is going to do the job for Gunther. She's going to do the job for Shadasia Green. It ain't because Shadasia necessarily needs her to do it. By the way, Shadasia looking great, looking peaceful, excited. Her energy is there, and I know she's been working on that jab, which will be the key to everything. Not going to just fall back and wait for the counter. She's going to get close, cut the distance off, make it rough. And Marshall is a great fighter. Let's not doubt her. But what I'm doubting is her desire. What I'm doubting is, her endurance at this point. She did the MMA thing, gave it a try. It's not as though she was active in MMA, and I can't say whether she's hasn't been in the gym or not. But hell, once you become undisputed and then let yourself be stripped of the belts, that's an indication in of itself. So that being said, as great as she is, and I think Savannah Marshall's great, I don't see her beating Shadasia Green, not tomorrow. And I'm gonna be in the building. And if she does, then I'm gonna tip my hat. But if she don't, then I told y'all, right? This is Shadasia Green's time, which will then make it more intriguing, more compelling, um, because it'll force whatever they got going on. Now they want to create another side of the street. Unless you're going to vacate the belts, which I could see happening. Homie vacating the belts because you want to, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm in heavyweight now because y'all making so, never mind Jermaine Franklin and Big Baby Davis, and I could, two or three other guys I could remember if I wasn't in a certain condition is suing this motherfucker. But y'all seem to think he got more money to offer than the nigga buying all the chicken and the weed. Okay. My point is, Shadasia Green will become unified champion, and the other champions, they're gonna have to make a move. They're gonna have to get out of the fucking delusion and thinking that this fucking guy over there has anything in their best interest in mind, because he ain't got enough for the people that he owed. So what is he gonna do for you? Don't listen to me, all right? But listen to me when I tell you Ellie Scotney versus Yemlith Mercado. I think I mentioned that. But I don't know if I mentioned to you that Scotney's just too skilled. I love Mercado as a fighter. I love her will. I love her tenacity. I love how she's fashioned herself into a champion. But when you're talking about, I've used this word pedigree and skill. Scotney's already been in there with a puncher in Miyamoto, and just not only did she take those punches well, she punched back. And despite um my comparisons, and I do compare Scotney to Gary Russell in a most flattering way possible. Scotney is in the mix, exchanging like, yeah. So I just don't see Mercado doing enough. She's gonna try. It just won't be enough. Ellie Scotney's gonna become undisputed at 122. So and then what does she do? Funny you should ask, Mr. Jefferson, because I feel like Scotney, she might could hold out, but it's going to take Nicholson too long, right? To either build herself as an opponent, or maybe she can rather quickly build herself as an opponent, and then we take the fight down under, and Scotney defends, or Scotney may decide to move up to featherweight, right? And see what's going on there. She's been at 122 for a while. I think she can test the waters. And again, the convenience is that Sky Nicholson moved down, maybe hoping that Scotney will move up. Maybe they spoke to each other about it. And I don't mean it, in any necessarily covert way, but in a way say, hey, we may or may not cross paths because I'm on my way up. Hey, I'm on my way down. Who knows? But if they could make something happen where Scotney makes a title defense against Nicholson, in the UK or, in Australia, if there's enough money on the table, I think that's a plausible conclusion right there. So yeah, going back to the bantamweight division, you do got I mentioned Crystal Rosado, but does she move up to 122? Right, she's at 118, and that's the beautiful thing, that not just this fight and Amanda Serrano and Nikisa Bednarian, but um Jake Paul, but it's a beautiful thing that they are still incubating some talent. All right. Not just bringing, some of these champions, to the forefront, but with Tam Tebow, with Crystal Rosado. I think you got a couple fighters on Serrano stable that fight on the Box Lab cards. But suffice to say, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of tread on the tire. There's a lot of recycling and repackaging that could happen. Hell, for all intents and purposes, you could get a Ramla Ali and Ebony Bridges, just kind of, you know, Bridges coming, off of shaking the ring rust, and if Ali win or lose, fuck it, it's a great fight between the two of them, because if Bridges is anything like she was before she left, she'll be nothing but pressure, and that's one of the things that Ramla is gonna have to learn how to deal with. She's learning how to deal with it outside of the ring in life, but in that ring, she just does not handle pressure well. So maybe that is even a good bout. So lots of good things happening with this card. Like I said, I will be in the building, and yeah, man, it feels good to be back and to share this information with you guys, because I feel like you'll all be more equipped to watch this fight, sitting with some casuals, and you can break certain things down to them. Trust me, get to this episode before you watch this card tomorrow. This is your crash course in women's boxing, because who can do it like me? Nobody. All right. So that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. All right. And thank you for supporting this thing of ours. Women's boxing is boxing. Peace.